How we doing, everyone? Steve Richards back here again. Sorry if I sound a little stuffy or muffly, a little under the weather, but we're gonna get this video done. So, being a member of the Flat Earth community, I get asked numerous questions day in and day out. Some questions are reasonable and answerable, but there are some that are the complete opposite. People who don't fully understand this topic are usually the culprit of these unanswerable questions. Some of these questions are: who's the creator? What is the moon? If there's a dome, why are we here? If it's an infinite plane, how far until the next Earth-like pond? And who would be there? Now, personally, I have not one clue or answer for either one of those, but when someone does ask me that, I always start off with, I don't know, but, because I have nothing to back that up with. There's no proof, but I would then go to explode their brains with theories I've speculated on or brought upon myself. Questions like these, we don't know, never have, probably never will. The ancients didn't know what the moon and the sun were, but they realized how special these objects were, which is all you can really do. Now, enough with the unanswerable questions, but on to one of the most frequently asked questions I get that's very answerable and makes sense. That question is, if the Earth is indeed flat, why would the governments and other powers go through so much trouble to lie about its shape and make us think it's a globe instead of telling us the truth? Now, there's a few different angles I take when I get answered this question. The three explanations I like to use, in no particular order by the way, are the money factor or self-benefit factor, the power or control factor, and then the religious shield. Something I'll ask you first is, when have you ever seen someone lie and it wasn't for self-benefit, money, or power? To this date, I haven't seen anyone lie for any good cause. Sure, at first, it may look like a good cause in your eyes, but a lie will always flip on itself. As I showed in the previous video, it's pretty evident that all the lies the space stations give us as fact are starting to turn on them. As we see, they can't even agree on what color the Earth is. They can't even agree what color the lie is, basically. It's pretty sad. But moving on to the money factor, or self-benefit factor, part to why they lied. To me, this is one of the more obvious ones. Look at look at it this way. NASA's budget was $19 billion this year. Now, I know it hasn't always been that high per year, but adding all the bonuses and loans, we're probably looking at around $10 billion a year since its spend start. More or less, So if we take $10 billion, multiply that by 50, which is still giving them like 10 or 15 years they can still have, that I'll let them have it. It's all good. But we get $250 trillion. What has $250 trillion gotten us over the past 60 years? A bunch of fake pictures, terrible actors, also known as Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye the Science Guy, and a whole lot of excuses. 250 trillion, we don't have a moon base. 250 trillion, we don't have one realistic picture of Earth from space. $250 trillion, and they've lost all the original clips and blueprints of the Apollo 11 mission. Their excuse on that was due to budget cuts. They had to record over them. How can you record over mankind's greatest achievement? $250 trillion because of a lie has produced nothing but lies. The point I'm getting at is they've profited more than $200 trillion from us, the taxpayer. And that's only half the profits these higher ups in the power line have profited from us. Now, obviously, they could have predicted the creation of NASA back in the 14 and 1500s, but there was still money to be made back then. Simple-minded sailors back then had a fear once they go past the horizon line, they fall off the earth if it was flat. So many of them refused to do their jobs of trading, buying, and selling products via boat or shipping. So if you're a king or a monarch back then in the 1400s, and your sailors refuse to buy, trade, and sell via boat, you're gonna be losing a lot more money than you'd be making if they were out there. If you just imagine, let's say FedEx stops tomorrow, do you know how much money FedEx is going to be losing? A lot more than they'd be making, I'll tell you that. But all right, so what do you do if you're the king of France, England, and Spain, etc., and your sailors start to pretty much do the same stuff that my sailors are doing? They're not going out to sea. They're not going to fall off the edge of the earth. They're pretty pissed about that, even though you can't fall off the edge of the earth. Remember, it was simple-minded men back then. This is 1400s we're talking about. But something had to be done to get these ships back at sea so that the rich monarchs and kings can sit back in their chair and continue to do nothing. Because people in power are lazy pricks. But you know what they did, right? They paid off scientists of the day to come up with a formula to prove you're on a globe so that no one would ever fear falling off the edge of the world. Even though, at the time and still to this day, you can't detect any curvature or motion. Shortly after these scientists got the formulas, Columbus was sent to prove the ball, more or less. And if it was a ball, he'd set sail due west from Portugal or Spain, wherever the hell he was leaving from. And he would end up in India, according to 1400 maps, because they had no idea what lay to the west. Yep, but clearly that didn't happen. He found what we call today as Mid and South America, surely because someone sailed on a flat, non-curved, motionless plane over the ocean and found land undiscovered. The Earth is a globe, right? No. Well, that's how they pushed it back then, even though that doesn't prove anything towards the globe model. Basically, I'm saying they push this globe because all it does is make money. Literally, money makes the world go round. A nice little unknown fact is that Copernicus was paid directly from the Pope to make the heliocentric model work. Still, it's all about the money. It's funny how religion just threw out the flat earth model just to gain more followers and ultimately make more money. These sun-worshipping Jesuits want to take your money and control your mind. They lie about anything to keep you on board. They tell you what you want to hear. Even the religions threw out their morals when they realized the globe model was going to take off, gain more followers, and ultimately make more sense on paper because of awesome theories. This just goes to show how easy humans will change their belief system just for a little bit more money. Now, the power and control part to all of this is done with the reinforcement of money and backed up by the atheistic claims of hiding the fact that we were put here by intelligent beings much more powerful than any human on Earth. To hold power over mass amounts of people, you need to prove yourself as all-knowing and never wrong. And by doing that, you will never give anyone a chance to even think that we were created from a being of higher power and to even challenge their so-called facts. So if you can hide the fact that we're here from creation, not by an accident, and present yourself as all-knowing and have a little math formula to prove yourself, no one will ever question you. They will more or less worship you by teaching others what you have told them. You can use math to prove fictional claims. Here's a quote from Nikola Tesla, aka also known as the one who should have gotten famous for his work by proving the heliocentric model as fiction, rather than Einstein getting all the credit for the work, which were all theories and mostly done by his wife. But nevertheless, Tesla said, today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. This was back in the 1900s, the early 1900s. Still holds to this day. A great comparison is that Neil deGrasse Tyson is just the modern day Albert Einstein. Tesla said that Einstein is nothing but like a furry headed dumbass or something like that. That's not quote unquote, but whatever he said, I'm sure the same goes for Neil the dumbass Tyson. Now, ask someone how gravity works. There's a little chance that they'll give you the gravity formula, which seems to work on paper. But tell them to explain the formula without using math. And they'll start to make some simple claims like, this is a force that makes us stick to the ground or makes objects fall to the ground when released. Now, I don't know about you, but to me it seems like that explains what happens when you drop an object that is denser than the molecule surrounding it. It's a cold hard fact that the density of an apple is more denser than the air surrounding it and will fall to the ground when released. End of story. You don't need magic gravity to explain that. Then more than likely, the globalists will go on to say, well, gravity makes the moon orbit us while we orbit the sun, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Simply ask them to recreate this with real objects or find a credible source, video, anything that shows this happening in real life. Chances are you're probably not going to find a thing. Because when have you ever, besides in a science textbook, seen an object of more mass and density make another object of less mass and density orbit it? It's not going to happen. It can't be done. Please, someone, find me a video of a basketball making a golf ball orbit around it. That'll be the day. So, all these unprovable theories and equations were all made up to make you think you're an accident that came from monkeys, that came from fish, that came from single-cell organisms, that came from nothing, that came from a bang billions of years ago. All this is nonsense to make sure you believe science and dismiss the possibility of a creator. Another thing about the Big Bang Theory that someone brought upon me the other day is, when have you ever seen an explosion or any type of bang that didn't result in destruction? This is the only bang or explosion that has created matter rather than destroy it. I'd love to see someone make this explosion without destroying something, never mind creating something. But since humans are easily fooled, those men in power have taken advantage of that fact and have kept running with this heliocentric theory since the 1400s. And I don't think they plan on stopping it. But I figure, we can annoy them a little and maybe help them regain some morality and some other good qualities that they lack, like integrity. Yeah. All right, well, don't want to waste any more of your time. That's going to wrap it up for the day. If you want to email me, scuba2114@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, you want to contact me, that's the best way to do it. Once again, I apologize for the muffly sound or the stuffy nose sound. I'm a little sick, under the weather, but we'll be back and healthy for another video soon. Take care.